engineers in Lake Jackson, Texas, a memory that has traumatized me for 20 years. Essentially, it was 3 hours of me feverishly attempting to elicit some type of reaction from 35 stoic audience members, only to ultimately fail. It still haunts me, even though my client tells me that the attendees that day still talk about that seminar. Me too, I reply. On stage in Verona, my host introduced me with the bio that I had provided. 2 years later, The Power of Understanding People would be released as a critically acclaimed book, but I remember wishing for that kind of credibility in that moment. As I made my way to the stage, my mind raced with toxic thoughts. I like to start strong with some mildly self-deprecating humor, but I worried that it would be lost in translation. How would I react to a crowd that didn't laugh? Would I again escalate my energy to manic levels? I began reliving the mistakes of Lake Jackson, Texas. Oh, and did I mention that this was the first event of a week-long schedule of seminars? Imagine the emotional pain involved if I discovered in this first session that I was out of my element, for me and the crowd. The first surprise struck me more as a sense of relief than insight. They laughed. They were engaged. It was the first clue to the larger reveal that was to come when they completed the interactive style assessment about 45 minutes later. For the time being, I just felt reassured that this was going to go well and that all my fears had been for naught. While that was personally satisfying, the big revelation arrived when I asked the group to stand as I polled their interactive style results. Readers of my last two books, The Power of Understanding People and The Power of Understanding Yourself, know that I discuss 4 iconic ways of communicating. The expert, detailed, fact-based, thorough. The romantic, emotional, tactful, diplomatic. The mastermind, conceptual, systemic, unpredictable. The warrior, logical, direct, results-oriented. I fully expected most of the room to rise when I introduced the expert style. In fact, only a handful of attendees stood. Same for the warrior and mastermind styles. More than 75% of the room would score as a romantic. What? How can this be? I thought to myself. How is it that these incredibly knowledgeable chemists, technicians, and researchers would be so emotionally sensitive? It had not occurred to me that these professionals were not merely drawn to the science of healthcare, but also to the service of others. It was at this moment that I knew that the organization had a core ideology that could differentiate it from its competitors. This corporate culture was unique, possessing not just the technical expertise to enhance the work of those clients whom they supported, but also a passion for helping others. We already knew they had a head for science, but we discovered that day that they also had a heart for service. And so it was that the company's core ideology was discovered. Heads for science, hearts for service became their brand, the basis for horizontal and vertical alignment. The entire organization, with locations in England, Scotland, Italy, and the United States, began the process of implementing an operational and marketing strategy around this ideology. And it all started with the realization that they had something special in their culture, something that would resonate with the marketplace and produce successful fiscal results. It was just a starting point toward peak performance, but a necessary one. This book is about just that, recognizing and leveraging your organization's special sauce. It is about creating an infrastructure that maximizes the strength of the institution, both employee-facing and customer-facing. It is about separating your operation from those of your competitors. It is about building an organization of peak performance, much like you would build a house with a foundation, framework, and power sources to create something special for its inhabitants. There is a lot of information in this book. One of my favorite attendees and loyal readers messaged me after my last book saying, "I'm enjoying your new book, but it is much denser than your previous book. There is a lot to consider." This book increases that density. In a way, it completes the trinity of my work involving of cognitive and organizational psychology.